on that, but let's start on an election weekend with the politics. You see these polls not only showing Democrats up, but Cook, which is nonpartisan, showing them up by a lot, potentially taking over 30 seats, which would be a clean sweep of the House. You have warned about that kind of thing before. What's your view of it tonight?
Yes, I'm warning against it now. Do not listen to the polls or the pundits. This stuff was wrong before. People in the weekend before the election in 2016, Democrats were all excited. Everybody was feeling like it was in the bag. Even the New York Times on the day of the election said that there was only a 15% chance of Trump winning that day. So do not pay any attention to this. Do not listen to Nancy Pelosi when she goes on Stephen Colbert and says, we've got victory here in our sights. No, we don't. You have to take Trump seriously. As much as you might think he's, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, this guy has beaten us. He won the White House by losing the election. That takes some sort of evil genius to pull that off. And if you sell him short now, in these last few days, if you don't think that they don't have something up their sleeve or they're not out there working their tails off, they are. And they're counting on us not doing that. So every waking moment of these last 72 hours, everybody has to be off the bench. Everybody has to be doing something. I encourage people to go to thelastweekend.org. Go there and you can find out what's happening in your local area, how you can volunteer, how you can do things tonight, tomorrow, Monday. Everybody has got to get involved. If they're so counting on liberals to do what liberals do, and this is how we lose so many times, when in fact, we represent the majority of public opinion. Let me just say this one statistic. The Republicans have won the popular vote for the presidency only once in the last 30 years. That's how much the American people don't want the Republicans. Only once since Daddy Bush won in '88.
Right.
Did they win the popular vote, and that was with Sonny George
in
2004.
And your point there, it really goes to what we're seeing in Georgia and other places, which is how do they get into office? How do Republicans get into office many times while losing the popular vote? And it's because of the fact that the playing field's not always level, and sometimes that's leftover constitutional stuff, and sometimes it's what's actively going on. Your filmmaking and your activism puts you in touch with a lot of people. And so it's interesting hearing your warning tonight, even with these polls showing the Dems up. We polled it, and I think if there's let me show you. So one thing, we polled it, and if there's ever a weekend to play it, I think it's right now. Your warning in the summer of 2016, when widely, I don't mean just the media or Democrats who wanted to see it a certain way, Republicans who would come on the news and talk to us off the record and on background would all uniformly say very unlikely that Trump would actually win. Here's what you said then.
I'm sorry to have to kind of be the buzzkill here so early on, but I think Trump is going to win. Michigan, Wisconsin, right, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. And Mitt Romney lost by 64 electoral votes. The total electoral votes of those four states in the Rust Belt, 64. Yeah. All he has to do is win those four states.
What led you to think that, and how does that apply today when some people would look at that and say, okay, but hasn't everyone been put a lot more on notice about Trump and about being civically involved?
Well, I live there, first of all. I'm from Michigan. I live in Michigan. I vote in Michigan. And so, I pay attention to the people around me, and I saw it happening. And I couldn't get the people in the bubble, Democrats who are living in the bubble in New York or on the West Coast, to understand that in the Midwest, blue states were going to vote for Trump, not because they necessarily loved him, but they have been so depressed economically. They saw Trump as their Molotov cocktail to throw into a system that had done them wrong and to blow up that system. And so they could do it nonviolently by going to the polls and voting for Trump. Now we're in a situation where people have had 21 months of Trump. And, but I think it's so dangerous tonight. Anybody who's just sitting back a little bit going, yeah, it's looking good, we're going to get the House at least. No. Let me tell you something. The Republicans, Steve Bannon, Donald Trump, they plan on winning the House on Tuesday by one seat, maybe two. That's their plan. And they have pulled it off. Not only did they pull off the 2016 election, they pulled off the Brett Kavanaugh, they've pulled off the tax cut for the rich.
Sure.
They are very good at what they do, and you need to take them seriously. And anybody who's anybody who's thinking right now, oh yeah, we've got it in the bag, you're helping to contribute to our defeat on Tuesday. Can I just say one thing about the polls?
Well, I want to get you on Trump. I want to get you
yeah.
on Trump economics. I don't want to lose all our time.
Yeah, okay, all right.
And you're a director. You know how time works.
No, you are the director of this show, and I am your servant. So please proceed.
So let me play for you Donald Trump talking about how his economic plan was going to work and him getting pushed about debt, because this will also be the first vote since Trump economics has been put in force in the tax cut and what is a growing deficit. Take a look at this.
We're going to create a dynamic economy again. We're going to bring the jobs back from China, from Mexico, from Japan,
still owe the money.
from Vietnam. No,
you still owe the money,
Bill, but
so you bring it back. So how are you going to get the debt down?
Because the country is going to start growing.
Even if you gin the economy up, how does that pay down $21 trillion? You have to take money from the corporations and people to do it. Okay,
it'll work,
but still,
Bill.
the debt is still on the books.
Whatever you think of either speaker, the exchange is important. I want to get you on the economics because we're going to put up on the screen so voters know going into Tuesday exactly what he's doing, the opposite of what he claimed. Obama had a deficit that was decreasing down to $587 billion with all of the growth plan he did coming off the recession. Already, Donald Trump exploding it to $782 billion. Do voters in the places that you're talking to, do they know that? Does that matter? Does the deficit and tax bill hurt or help Donald Trump and the Republicans Tuesday?
He's learned that the more often he tells the lie, the more believable it becomes. And I think that, no, I don't think most people understand that not much time is spent on television talking economics. It's boring television. So I think, yes, I think there is a lack of understanding of this. But as President Obama said yesterday, his last 21 months, there was much more job growth than there's been in the 20 months here of President Trump. So I think, look, you can keep saying that the economy is doing great. What that means is that Wall Street is doing great. The people that got the tax cut are doing great. And we're going to have to pay for it, because if you cut billions and billions of dollars of taxes, you have to make that up somewhere, which means you've got to cut billions and billions of dollars worth of services. Well, where are you going to cut it from? You know where he's going to try to take it out of. It's going to come out of health care. It's going to come out of Medicare. It's going to come out of Social Security. That's the long game that they're playing. And everybody better be aware of this, because they are damn well going to do it. If you don't think they're going to do it, then you were one of the people that were saying there's no way an idiot could win the presidency of the United States. Quit thinking that way. They're not idiots. They know exactly how to do this. They're going to do it, and they're counting on us to not be there. Do not listen to the polls. The New York Times has gotten so good at describing their polling methods, and I just want to point this out. In the poll they took this week on the Texas Senate race between O'Rourke and Cruz, they contacted 51,000 Texans, this is according to the New York Times, 51,000 Texans. Only 800 would respond to them. They contacted 7,800 18 to 29-year-olds. Only 66 of those young adult voters responded. So even they will admit, don't trust this. We don't really know what's going to happen. The Republicans could hang on to the House and get more seats in the Senate.
Yeah,
that's extremely likely.
I'll tell you, to agree with you, Michael, I'm in a newsroom. We have a lot of smart people with a lot of experience here. I have no idea what's going to happen Tuesday. I have no idea whether the various local polls are going to be over or under reporting what they say, although it's interesting. Correct. They seem to be leaning Democrat. But I think you make such an important point. The other thing I want to ask you, you're a storyteller, and you've told stories, we mentioned your Oscar, that have changed the way people think about the Iraq War, about health care in this country with sicko, about guns. Obamacare is one piece of the health care story. I wonder what you think accounts for this huge shift. I've been covering this for years. You've been involved in this since before it was written into law. I can tell you there was a time where it was very controversial, where Democrats were running from it, and there was a lot of confusion about it. And here we are going into these midterms, and we see Republicans running on parts of Obamacare, pretending they didn't vote to repeal it. How do you think that story changed, and what's important about that going into Tuesday?
It changed in part because since President Obama was elected in 2008, there have been 38 million young people that turned 18 in these 10 years. 38 million young voters who, once Obamacare passed in 2010, saw that they were going to be protected, that they could, for instance, stay on their parents' health care plan until they were 26. This has become so much a part of our fabric now of pre-existing conditions, of staying on to your 26, of all the things. And listen, there's a lot of things that need to be fixed about Obamacare. We need to take the private insurance companies out of the control of our health care programs in this country. But I think it's because we have a lot of young people who are going to vote. Look at even your own reporting has shown in early voting in Texas, over 400% difference between the young voters in 2014 and the young voters who have early voted in 2018. 700% in Tennessee, 18 to 29-year-olds.
Yeah, it's wild.
Increase over 2014. So, yes, things look good, things seem good, and we've been here before when it seemed good, and you're going to wake up Wednesday morning with the biggest hangover, political hangover, life hangover, if we don't pull
life
this
hangover.
Off. So
well,
everybody has to work.
You know what Kanye West said, Michael? We drink to get the pain over, but what's
Kim,
worse?
please let me back in the bedroom.
You know what? I'm going to let you have it. Mine was real, yours is imagined, but you're imaginative. I'm going to let you have it.
I think, I think somehow she won the day. And
she's more blue and he's more red, and he's now going back saying his politics were misinterpreted, whatever that meant.
Whatever that, hey, redemption. We must believe in it. Hold your hands out to the people in your family, your friends who might have voted for Trump. There's 8 million Obama voters that voted for Trump in 2016. We can bring some of them back on Tuesday. I think they've had their fill of him, and I can only hope that, especially where I live, and Ari, look at this too, Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio, Pennsylvania, each of these states could go blue on Tuesday. Each of them, the governor could be a Democrat. It's been a long time since we've had that. And it's very likely it could happen.
Yeah.
I feel it. I feel it in the Midwest. The Midwest for the midterms. That's what I tell
there's a
people.
lot on the line.
We've got to be the ones to save the country.
Michael, thank you very much for making time. I know you're crisscrossing the country. Thank you so much. Michael Moore, as always, a treat to talk with you.
Happy to do it.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.